I'm Brianna Shigo. Welcome back to my Tuesday tips. Here we are on page 18 of your residential purchase agreement. Let's get right into it. Section 19, joint escrow instructions to escrow holder. Section A talks about how these next couple of paragraphs are just escrow instructions for whoever is in escrow. Section 19, Section B talks about how if escrow wants to give you something to sign or give you some kind of provisions or something, it will come directly from escrow and you have to do it within a reasonable time frame and the time frame specified. Letter C talks about a copy of this agreement, your residential purchase agreement, and any counter offers must be given to escrow within 3 days after offer acceptance. And then it goes on to talk about how all of the seller and buyer information is going to be shared to who it needs to be shared to. They're just letting you know. Letter D, agents are not a party to the escrow, which means we're not intertwined with escrow, except for the fact that we're getting compensated in escrow. That gets intertwined into what escrow is doing, because escrow disperses funds and holds funds and is in charge of all the funds. So like I said, as the buyer or seller, you will get a form that says how much your realtor is being compensated for this transaction. Everybody has to acknowledge it. If it changes, there's specific things that need to be done, but for the most part, the only way that realtors, real estate agents, and escrow come together is in regards to our compensation. But otherwise, we don't mess with each other's deals. Letter E talks about how escrow will require invoices in order to credit one party the funds that they need from the other party. So for example, because that's confusing, for example, in our office, sometimes we as listing agents will say, oh, we need a handyman to come fix this before we put it on the market. And the seller's like, I don't have the money for the handyman. So we, realtors, say, okay, we'll pay for that and you can pay us back when escrow closes. We'll get that money out of what you get when escrow closes. So we send an invoice to escrow. So then escrow sends us a check when escrow closes out of the seller's earnings. I hope that makes sense. Oh my gosh. Letter F talks about upon receipt, escrow will let everybody know, seller, buyer, all the agents, they'll let everybody know when buyer's funds come in. So whether that be the deposit or the rest of the down payment, they'll send everybody an email, a text, give them a call and say, hey, the deposit came in, it cleared, or the rest of the down payment, all the funds came in, we're good to go. They'll just keep everybody in the loop. And little tiny bit G talks about if there's any kind of change, amendment, anything to this contract, you have to give escrow a copy within 3 days. Section 20, selection of service providers. So this is for any instance where you, as the buyer or seller, are choosing a service provider like termite or home warranty. You can choose who or what company you go with. We as realtors cannot guarantee that they are going to do a good job. We are just your realtors. You can choose whoever you want. We don't guarantee them. Section 21, MLS, multiple listing service. This is what most of us realtors, real estate agents, submit all of our listing information to. And then the MLS sells this information, pictures, all that stuff, to Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all those sites so that they can get more exposure. Some brokerages choose not to sell their listing information, but it gets you and your seller more exposure, so that's what we go with. Anyway, as you move through a transaction, you have to keep it updated in the MLS. So there's active status, on hold, pending, sold. So active is when your listing is active, you're accepting offers. Let's say you get a couple offers, you're reviewing, you put your listing on hold, you got to update in the MLS. Then you choose an offer, you're going through inspections, your buyer removes all their contingencies, so now you're just waiting for escrow to close, you put it on pending, change it immediately to pending. Then as soon as it's sold, change it to sold in the MLS. You have got to keep it updated. So this is more for us as realtors, but it just kind of likes to keep you in the loop so you know what's going on. Section 22, tiny little tidbit, if there's any kind of legal action taken based on this contract, it's just explaining that the opposite party will get legal fees. You'll get attorney's fees, if that makes sense. I'm not a lawyer. I'm only a realtor. To wrap it up, 23, assignment and nomination. The buyer has the right to assign this buy to a trust or whoever else, but you just have to keep everybody in the loop. And then number 24, equal housing opportunity. This property is sold in compliance with the federal, state, and local anti-discrimination laws. That's it, page 18. Moving on to page 19, only 7 pages left next week. Anyways, if you have any more questions or would like me to explain anything in more detail or anything like that, I'm here. I'm happy to help. I hope everything is relatively easy to understand because that is my goal. Okay.